Well, welcome back. I'd really like to talk to you about some things. Part of it has to do with what's the next phase for you here in the project. So let's get to it, okay? Let's get right to it. You're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of looking at something like this that needs to be mounted, and that's pretty much where it's at. If you're done tooling it, it looks extraordinary. Then I'd say let's get to the mounting, okay? We're going to take a look at some expectations in just a minute as to what you're expected to do as far as finished product, how you're going to get that big 4 out of this, you know. But mounting, that's what I'm here to tell you about. So you're going to take this piece. It's been tooled. It's clean. It looks fabuloso, and you're going to get a piece of cardboard that looks like this. Over by the sink over there, there's a whole bunch of them. We're going to make sure that you have plenty of those so that you can choose from that. And what you're going to do with it is you're going to take the piece of cardboard, you're going to put it right in the center of your metal piece. You're going to center it. And then you're going to look to see if there's enough room to be able to crimp the edges around the outside of the cardboard. That's the next phase. If there's not, it needs to be made smaller, then you need to trim it down using the paper cutter. Okay? Just take an edge off, make sure that edge is straight, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, cut it off of there, use the paper cutter to do it. If you get stuck with that, ask me or someone else who's comfortable using a paper cutter to do it. That's totally fine. Just don't cut your thumb off, because you're going to need your thumb in case you need to do some hitchhiking. People still hitchhike? I mean, that was a big thing. When I was a teen, a kid, people hitchhiked like all over the place. Trippy. Anyway, so that's the story. That's the next phase as far as this is concerned. Okay? You're going to crimp it and mount it on the cardboard so it looks fabulous like that. Look at how straight that is. Look at how clean of an edge there's on there. Oh man, she did an extraordinary job of mounting that. She crimped the corners. Check out the corners there. See how that's crimped on there? Get a closer look. There you go. All right? That's crimping. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your 1-inch brush out of your, whoop, I'm dripping, waterproof permanent ink everywhere. And I say waterproof permanent ink because it is. It is waterproof and it is permanent. So you're going to get your 1-inch brush out of your kit. You're going to get your paint palette out of your kit. You're going to get the lid to your paint palette because you need that as well out of your kit. And you are going to get a tray. From between the cabinets, you're going to put your metal piece inside of that tray. And you're going to come to me and I'm going to give you some of this ink. Now this ink, like I said, it's permanent, it's waterproof. You get it on your clothes, it'll be on your clothes forever. Because it's permanent, it's waterproof. You're going to take your 1-inch brush and you're going to begin the process of painting, coating your metal piece completely with ink. Now the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to just try to get a nice, solid coat on there. It's almost like a film. Very filmy. Kind of a gray film, sort of blackish film. You don't want to do this unless you have made sure that everything is tooled out, because once you mount it, you need to make sure that you've gone back into it and tooled it just a little bit to make sure that all the edges are nice and crisp, because mounting it can cause the metal to bend a little bit. And you want the sweetest looking project when you're done. I got some students in my classes that are going, I just want the grade, Mr. Lester. Well, whatever. Okay. But this thing has the potential to look incredibly cool when it's all said and done. So you want to do your best. Okay? Do your best. So what you're going to do is you're going to coat it with a single coat of ink. And you're going to have to continue to brush it and brush it to get the ink to stay on the whole thing in the first coat. Okay? You want the whole surface to be covered in the first coat. Then you're going to let it dry. If you want to use the hairdryer out back to dry it, it'll go a little bit faster. I've only got 2 hairdryers. Extra credit if you've got a couple extra hairdryers at home and you want to bring them in, donate them, I'll give you extra credit for that. Yep. Old hairdryers that work. I don't care for ones that don't work. That doesn't really do me any good. All right? So you're going to coat the whole thing. It's going to look kind of like that. And you're going to let it dry. Once it dries, then you're going to come back and you're going to do 1 more coat. When you're done with that second coat, it's going to look something like that. Completely solid and opaque black. Okay, so it should look like that. Then comes the next phase, and that's the buffing phase. Okay, in the buffing phase, you're going to come to me, and you're going to get a couple of cotton balls. Now, there's a couple of ways to buff this. What your goal is to create a contrast of shades between black and silver using your pattern or your design to let you know where that silver is supposed to shine through. Again, creating contrast, really enhancing the textures. That's kind of your goal. Okay? You want it to be visually pleasing. Look at it and go, whoa, that's cool looking. As well as you want to be able to feel the textures. It's very tactile in the business. We call that tactile. Okay? So you're going to bring or remove the ink from it one of two ways. One way is to use a cotton ball. Now, you're going to take in your palette or the lid of your palette, you're going to put a little bit of water in the lid of your palette. Okay? And that's going to be nice clean water, and you're going to use a cotton ball. And what happens with this cotton ball, there's two ways to do it. You can do it that way, or you can spit on it. Not like, not do that. But just touch it to your tongue, okay? Have a little fuzz. When you do that, and you make it moist, what happens is that moisture will lift the ink off of the surface. You see how that is taking the ink off? Okay? It lifts the ink off the surface of your design. That's one way to do it. If you want to remove large areas of ink, then you can do it with a cotton ball. Those of you who are a little more detailed, you may want to use your long-handled, what is this, number 2 paintbrush. Looks like this. It's in your kit. Got a nice little point on it. Okay? Very nice and pointed. And you'll get some water. I'm just going to use a little bit of water out of my water bottle here. Pour it in my cab. You don't really need very much. Just enough to moisten the tip. Okay? Nice pointed brush. You don't want it to drip off of there. And what will happen, let me come around the other way. What's going to happen, I'll have you look over my shoulder, is you'll notice, let's say that I want to remove this section right here. See how that's happening? Just by brushing on that section, it's removing the ink from right there. See how that cleaned that off? Made it nice and shiny just by using that brush. Now what's kind of cool for those of you who tend to be a little more detail minded, you can do some really cool things with this. Little brush control. I mean, you literally could paint on here, removing the ink. You could do some really cool detail patterning just to make it look more interesting. See how I did that right there? Okay? That's just with the tip of the paintbrush. All right? Another reason to take care of that art kit, because the tools are there. I want you to be successful. I set you up for success. I tell you what you're going to need. So, take care of it. Yeah. So what you're going to do anyway is you're going to remove the ink in the places that you want to remove it. You want to create a balanced look, a balanced texture, as well as a balanced pattern in your composition. So as you remove it, you're going to see those shiny parts. It's going to enhance your patterns and your texture. This one's not done, but she's doing a great job so far. And you get the idea. Look at that. That's awesome. She's doing a great job. Nice job, April. Thanks for letting us use your work as an example. Okay? So, I'm still here. I'm just grabbing a couple of examples to show you if you haven't had a good close look at these. This was a 4. When all was said and done, this was a 4. This one as well, a very different approach, but it was a 4 as well. Okay? So, I know that if you put your time in to tooling it the way you could have, that you'll end up with a 4 too. So all you have to do is just put in the effort. Okay? Make sure you wash your brushes out and stuff when you're done with the ink. You wash the palette out as well as when you're done with the ink, just so you don't get that on you. But also, the ink's kind of expensive, so you want to share that with other folks. Yep, that's the story. So that you ought to be able to ink it and buff it today, and then while it's drying, start working on the critique sheet. Okay? Any questions anybody has? Ask me live and in person. I am Roger Royster, art teacher to the stars, signing out. And my remote?